Have you ever looked in the mirror, fixed your hair just the way you always do, then paused, just for a moment, and thought, why do I look more tired than I feel? You're not imagining it. Sometimes it's not your makeup, your clothes, or even the lighting. It's your hairstyle, the very one you've worn for years, the one that used to make you feel like yourself, might now be quietly pulling you backward, without you even realizing. Today, we're going to uncover 3 common hairstyles that can secretly age women over 60, even the most stylish among us. But more importantly, I'll show you the gentle, graceful alternatives that will bring softness, brightness, and renewed confidence to your look. No drastic chops, no chasing youth, just thoughtful, elegant changes that reflect who you are now, not who you were 20 years ago. Because style at this age isn't about looking younger. It's about looking present, energized, and fully you. I still remember the day I met Eleanor. She was standing in line at a small-town farmer's market in Vermont. Mid-October, crisp breeze, apple cider in hand. She had the kind of quiet elegance you notice before you realize what made you turn. It wasn't her outfit. It was her hair. Soft, salt and pepper waves, gently tucked behind her ear, dancing in the wind. She looked effortless, like a woman who had stopped trying to impress and started choosing what made her feel alive. We got to talking. She told me, I used to cling to this stiff, high-volume cut for years because it made me feel put together. But one day I realized I wasn't holding on to beauty. I was holding on to a version of myself I'd already outgrown. That moment stayed with me, because how many of us do that without even noticing? So in this video, we'll gently peel back those outdated habits and uncover what's truly flattering today for the woman you've become. Let's begin. And trust me, by the end of this, you may not look younger, but you'll look more like you. When was the last time you ran your fingers through your hair and felt truly seen? Not just neat, not just done, but like your hairstyle still fits the woman you are now, not the one from 20 years ago. Because here's something most women don't realize until they're standing under fluorescent lights in a salon, wondering why their reflection feels unfamiliar. Some hairstyles don't age with us, especially layered cuts, those messy, choppy, overstyled layers that once gave bounce and movement, but now just sit there, flat in some places, puffy in others, constantly needing a round brush and too much patience. It's something I saw happen with my friend Linda. She's 67 now, full of life, still teaching part-time at the local art center. But for years, she held on to this haircut she got in her 40s, short layers, flipped ends, and bangs that never quite landed right. It made me feel sharp, she said, like I was still in the game. But somewhere along the way, the cut started aging her instead of energizing her. The top looked too fluffy, the sides uneven, and no matter how much she styled it, it seemed dated. It wasn't the hair. It was the expectation that what once worked would always work. There's a quiet grief in letting go of an old style, not just the shape, but the identity tied to it. It feels like saying goodbye to the younger version of ourselves. But here's the truth. Holding on to what no longer serves us doesn't preserve our youth. It hides our presence. It weighs us down, not just visually, but emotionally. The good news? You don't need to sacrifice softness or movement. You just need better layers. Longer, blended, face-framing layers that work with the natural changes in your hair texture. Think gentle lift at the crown, subtle framing near the cheekbones, ends that fall with intention, not chaos. Ask your stylist to work with your part line, your face shape, and your lifestyle, not against them. And please, let go of the idea that more layers mean more volume. At this stage, too many layers can actually make thinning hair look thinner. What you want is shape, not confusion. Control, not stiffness. As I always say, elegance isn't about complexity, it's about clarity. Your hair should highlight your presence, not compete with it. So if you've been waking up to a hairstyle that feels more like a chore than a celebration, it might be time to shed the weight and make room for lightness. Coming up next, a color mistake many women don't even realize they're making, and why black might not be your best friend anymore. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, Why do I look more tired than I feel, even after a good night's sleep? It might not be your makeup or your lighting. It might be your hair color. For years, black has been the color of power, of mystery, of timeless style. We wear it to look sharp, to feel put together. Many of us dyed our hair jet black through our 40s and 50s because it made us feel bold. It gave contrast. It covered every gray strand. But after 60, that same black, especially in hair, can quietly turn against us. My neighbor Marcia is 64, a former high school principal with the kind of presence that makes you sit up straighter. For decades, she wore her thick black hair like a crown. She said it made her feel in command. But one afternoon over coffee, she admitted something. I looked at a photo of myself next to my granddaughter, and all I saw were the shadows, not the smile. The black had started casting harsh lines across her softening skin. Her eyes looked smaller, her jaw more severe. The vibrance was there, but it was being overpowered by contrast. Here's the truth. As we age, our skin tone changes. It becomes lighter, softer, more translucent. Jet black, once a compliment, starts to create too much drama. It sharpens lines we'd rather soften. It darkens the overall expression of the face. Instead of enhancing, it overwhelms. Instead of lifting, it drags us down. But here's what most women don't know. You don't have to go fully gray to feel light again. There are gentler transitions. Deep espresso with warm undertones, soft chestnut, subtle caramel or honey highlights around the face. Even a few lighter strands can add lift, glow, and movement. It's not about giving up the color you love. It's about letting it evolve with you. The goal is harmony, not contrast. Skin and hair should speak the same quiet language, not argue in public. From my own journey, I remember hesitating before lightening my roots. I worried I'd look washed out. But the moment I saw how my skin lit up, how my eyes looked brighter, I knew I wasn't fading. I was finding my balance. As I often remind my friends, the most flattering color is the one that lets your spirit shine through. Sometimes that means saying goodbye to what once defined us. So, if you've been wondering why your reflection feels a bit too sharp, maybe it's not age, it's just the wrong shade. Next, let's talk about a styling habit many of us learned in the 80s, and why it might be stealing the softness from your look today. Have you ever run your fingers through your hair and realized it doesn't feel like you anymore, but more like a memory you're still holding on to? Let's be honest. Many of us grew up believing that bigger meant better, especially in hair. The teased crown, the back combing, the layers of hairspray, those were our beauty rituals, our armor. It gave us height, presence, a sense of control in a world that often asked us to shrink. But now, at 60 or 70, that same volume doesn't always say elegance. Sometimes it whispers, stuck in time. My friend Eileen, who's 67, once said something over brunch that stayed with me. I looked at my hair in the mirror the other day and realized it's speaking louder than I am. She'd worn the same teased-up style since her early 40s, not because she still loved it, but because it felt safe, familiar, like the last part of her that hadn't changed. But here's the gentle truth. Our faces soften with time. Our expressions become more tender. And that stiff, high volume on top can throw everything off balance. Instead of lifting the face, it exaggerates it. It draws the eye upward, away from your smile, your eyes, your presence. It creates an echo of another decade, one that no longer fits the woman you are today. Hair should move with us, not freeze us in place. Modern volume doesn't mean sacrificing body. It means choosing softness. A bit of lift at the crown, light layers that add shape without shouting. A haircut that responds to the breeze when you walk down the street. A texture that says, I've grown and I've let go. What helped me shift? A hairstylist who said, let's not make your hair louder than your voice. That moment changed everything. We softened the shape, eased the height, let the strands fall naturally. And I felt lighter, not just in style, but in spirit. Here's my gentle suggestion. If your hair hasn't changed in 20 years, maybe it's not a signature. Maybe it's a script you no longer need to follow. As I always say, you don't need big hair to make a big impression. Your quiet confidence will do just fine. Next, let's explore 3 modern styles that flatter without effort and feel like a breath of fresh air, not a fight against time. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and truly saw yourself, not your routine, not your younger reflection from years ago, but the woman you are today? Would your haircut agree with her? For many women past 60, the answer is quietly, almost painfully, no. Because while our lives evolve, our hair often doesn't. We keep the same cut for decades, out of habit, out of comfort, or sometimes out of fear. Fear of letting go of what once worked, fear of standing out in a way we no longer feel entitled to, or simply fear that changing our hair means changing who we are. But what if the right haircut didn't erase you, it revealed you? That's exactly what the soft bob does. It doesn't shout, it doesn't try to impress, it gently reframes. It tells the world, I'm here and I still matter. The soft bob falls around the chin or collarbone with layers that lift rather than weigh down. It gives structure without stiffness and ease without looking careless. It flatters the jawline, opens the face, and moves with you, not against you. I think about my friend Lorraine. She's 65, lives in Savannah, and taught math for nearly 40 years. For most of her adult life, she wore her hair long and tied back. It's practical, she always said. It's just hair. But one afternoon, while helping her granddaughter braid ribbons, the little girl paused and asked, Grandma, how come you don't let your hair play anymore? That one question sat with her for days. She told me she couldn't stop hearing it, not in a teasing way, but in a way that made her wonder if, somewhere along the line, she had stopped letting herself play too. A week later, she walked into a quiet salon and asked for something she hadn't dared in years, a bob. Nothing dramatic, just soft, natural, fresh. And when she stepped out, she looked exactly like herself, only more present, more alive. She called it her quiet revolution. And she smiled when she said, This is the first time my haircut feels like my life, simple, honest, and full of movement. That's the beauty of this cut. It doesn't try to make you younger. It brings your features, your eyes, your smile, your presence into focus again. It works with thinning hair, soft skin, subtle shifts in the face. It adapts with you, not in spite of you. It's effortless to maintain, yet still intentional. No more blow-drying for hours or teasing roots just to feel seen. The soft bob lets your face breathe. Your style breathe. You breathe. And for many women, that breath is a return, not to who they used to be, but to the version of themselves that got overlooked while life got busy. Raising kids, running errands, holding it all together. This isn't about looking younger. It's about stepping into a beauty that finally fits now. Here's what I remind every woman I work with. The right haircut doesn't change who you are. It helps you return to her. So if you've been waiting for a moment to let go of what no longer serves you, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the nudge to take something old off your shoulders, literally, and walk a little lighter. Because you're not cutting off your history. You're shaping the woman who's still growing. And up next, we'll meet her graceful cousin, the textured lob, a soft, easy style for women who want room to move and space to shine. When you walk into a room, does your hair follow your energy or resist it? That may sound like a strange question, but stay with me. Because for many women over 60, their hair no longer moves the way they do. It stays fixed, controlled, predictable, and somehow so much less alive than it used to be. But what if I told you that one of the simplest shifts, just in the length and texture, could bring that ease and liveliness back? The textured lob is that shift. Somewhere between your chin and your shoulders, it offers enough length for freedom, but not so much that it weighs you down. The beauty of this cut is how it echoes how we want to feel. Soft, resilient, effortless. The layers are subtle, the ends graze gently, and every strand feels like it has permission to dance again. Take Cheryl, for example. She's 67, a retired nurse from Portland. Her days used to revolve around structure, tight buns, no fuss, always practical. When she retired, she told herself she'd do something bold, maybe even chop it all off. But when she sat in that salon chair, she hesitated. She didn't want to lose her identity. She just wanted to meet the next version of herself. The stylist suggested a textured lob. Cheryl said yes, and when she walked out, she didn't look trendy. She looked awake, like her features had been gently lifted, like her hair was finally flowing with her, not against her. She told me later, "It felt like my shoulders dropped, like I wasn't holding anything up anymore." What makes this cut special isn't just how it looks, it's how it adapts. Whether you're headed to a church potluck or a weekend farmer's market, this style fits. It doesn't scream for attention, but it doesn't disappear either. And for thinning or graying hair, it adds movement where there was once only flatness. You don't need to fuss with heat tools or sprays. A quick finger tousle, a soft wave overnight, and you're ready. It embraces imperfection. And that's its quiet power. My advice? Don't aim for hair that holds still. Choose hair that shifts when you laugh, moves when you turn, rests gently when you sit beside someone you love. The textured lob isn't a statement. It's a whisper that follows you everywhere you go. Because here's the truth. Elegance isn't stiff. It breathes. It bends. It follows you, not the other way around. And just ahead, we'll talk about the gentlest frame of all, curtain bangs and soft layers, the kind that hug your face without hiding who you are. Let's keep going. When you look in the mirror, do you feel like your face is missing softness or just a little kindness? At some point after 60, many women start pulling their hair back tighter, higher, neater, and we think we're simplifying, keeping things tidy. But in the process, we erase the very softness that once made us feel approachable, alive, feminine. Curtain bangs bring it back, without effort, without drama. This isn't the heavy fringe of your high school yearbook or the regrettable cut you pinned back for months. Curtain bangs part gently, fall softly, and frame the face like a whisper. They don't cover, they invite. Especially for women over 60, they soften the forehead, lift the cheeks, draw attention to the eyes, the way light used to when we were 35 and laughing under sunbeams. And the best part? They're forgiving. They grow out gracefully. They don't demand heat tools or mirror gymnastics. I'll never forget Helen. She's 72, a watercolor artist from Santa Fe. Her hair had been the same shoulder-length cut for over 25 years. Simple, brushed back, no fuss. But after her sister passed, Helen said she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman looking back. She looked like she'd stopped trying, she said. Not in a vain way, just like her edges had faded. So one day, with shaking hands, she told her stylist, "Give me bangs, but make them kind." And when the curtain bangs fell gently across her temples, she cried, not because she looked younger, but because she looked like herself again. "They gave my face back to me," she told me. The emotional truth is, as we age, we don't just fear being overlooked, we fear becoming invisible. Curtain bangs don't fix that, but they help. They invite softness back into the reflection. They blur the lines we've earned without hiding them. They remind us that beauty never needed to be loud to be real. If I can offer you one tip, it's this. Don't chase the bang. Chase the feeling it gives you. Try them with a soft side part. Pair them with light layers that lift your cheeks, not weigh them. And give them time to settle into your face, like sunlight through half-closed blinds. Warm, familiar, forgiving. Because sometimes, all it takes is a gentle frame to see ourselves clearly again. As we move toward the end of this journey, I want to share one final reminder. It's not the haircut that defines you. It's the woman who chooses it. And that's who we'll meet in the last chapter, the woman who wears them fully, beautifully, completely herself. Stay with me. She's standing there again, in the soft light of morning, one hand on the sink, the other gently brushing through her hair, the same part, the same shape, the same silence. But something's different. She's not just checking her reflection. She's wondering, is this still me? You've lived through decades of joy, of heartbreak, of quiet mornings with coffee and loud dinners with family. You've held hands, you've let go, you've become someone your younger self would admire. Doesn't your hair deserve to reflect that too? So many women I meet are still wearing the haircut they got when their kids were in elementary school, or the one they felt safest in after their divorce. Or the one that says, "Don't look at me too closely, I'm tired." But the truth is, sometimes we're not keeping a hairstyle because we love it. We're keeping it because change feels like a risk. Because letting go of what we know feels louder than trying something new. But here's the quiet truth. Change doesn't have to be big. You don't need a dramatic chop or a whole new color. Sometimes it's as small as shifting your part slightly off center, adding a few soft highlights around your temples, asking your stylist, "Can we try something that feels more me?" One woman I knew, her name was Linda, kept her hair pulled back in a tight bun for nearly 15 years. It was tidy, safe, but also a little hidden. One day her granddaughter asked, "Grandma, what would you look like with it down?" She laughed. She didn't know. That weekend she asked for layers, just a few, enough to let her hair fall past her shoulders again. When she came home, her husband looked up from his crossword and simply said, "There you are." It's not about chasing youth. It never was. It's about claiming visibility, dignity, softness, presence. It's about letting your outside finally catch up to who you are inside. Wise, radiant, unshakably you. So I'll ask again, are you keeping your hair because you love it or because you're afraid to change it? What's one small shift you can try this month? Maybe it's letting the silver strands peek through. Maybe it's trying a curtain bang. Maybe it's just booking that appointment you've been putting off for 3 seasons. This isn't about looking younger. It's about looking like you, unapologetically, beautifully, now. And if this video whispered something to your heart today, just know I'll be right here with the kettle on and a chair waiting whenever you're ready.